Hello, my name is Jeffrey Han, and welcome to video 2 of VEX Robotics programming tutorial. Today, we will be covering the variable types that you'll need to know in C. So first, we need to cover what a variable is. Variables, simply put, are boxes in which you can store values for later use. There are too many different types to cover in the video, like arrays or array lists, but these four are what you'll need most for robotics. So today we will be going over integers, which are whole numbers, doubles, which are decimals, booleans, which are true or false, and strings, which are words. Let's get started. First, in order to use a variable, you need to know how to make one in the first place. When we create a variable, it's called initializing a variable, a term that we'll use often. Here, we initialize 4 variables. The integer apple to a value of 5, the double banana to a value of 5.5, the Boolean cheese to a value of true, and the string donut to sugar. Notice how strings are different from the other variables, and it will be initialized differently as well. Each of these variables can be called for later use. You can use operators on these values as well. Operators are things like multiplication, subtraction, addition, division, modulus, which we'll cover in the next video. In the example below, we create another variable called egg, and we give it a value of 10. Then we can say that the variable egg is equal to egg divided by apple. Since 10 divided by 5 is 2, the value of the variable egg is now 2. An integer is the most basic variable type, and as you would expect, it holds an integer. You initialize an integer like this with the letters I and T. In this example, we initialize the variable apple to have a value of 5. Int apple equals 5. The variable apple now holds a value of 5. Keep in mind that integers will always be a whole number. If it is a decimal, it will round down every time. In this example, we have int banana as 14, and then we divide banana by 5. The variable banana is now 2. Even though 14 divided by 5 is 2.8, since the variable banana is an integer, it will round down to 2. It won't round up to 3, it won't stay as 2.5, 2.8, it will always round down. And since the closest one to 2.8 is 2, it will be 2. Integers have something called a max value, which differs according to the language. In Java, the maximum value is 2147483647, and the minimum value is the opposite. If you go over the maximum value, it will loop around and turn into the minimum value. If you go under the minimum value, it will loop around and go to the maximum value. Integers can be negative, positive, 0, or basically anything that is an integer. You usually won't have to worry about the maximum value unless you're counting milliseconds, but be sure to make sure that you're not going over the maximum value since it could cause a lot of problems. A double is a variable type that holds a number like integers, but it could also hold a decimal. You can see in the example, double banana is equal to 10.25. And it'll stay 10.25 instead of going down to 10 like an integer would. In the example below, we can see that double banana is equal to 14 and banana is equal to banana divided by 5. Now, banana will have a value of 2.8. Unlike integers, which would turn into 2, it stays at 2.8. Doubles are useful since you can use them for percentages, since dividing two numbers yields what percent of the divisor the dividend is. In this case, it denotes that the number 14 is 280% of the number 5, which is now shown in decimal form. So a common question asked among beginners is why anyone would ever use integers, because doubles can hold decimals while integers can't, so what's the point of using an integer? Well, doubles have a problem which is called a rounding error. So sometimes it will say that 1 is equal to 0.9999999, so on and so forth, or 13 is 2.99999. So when you compare them, even if you're comparing 13 and 13, will sometimes say that 13 is not equal to 12.99999, and thus will return false even though it should return true. Integers will always say 13 as 13, so the rounding error won't get in the way of comparing two numbers. In addition, integers are integers are smaller than doubles, so they take up less space. This means that your code is more efficient, and it makes it faster to run as well. Integers are probably going to be the type of variable that you use the most, both inside robotics and outside. So it is important to know the characteristics of an integer. But of course, remember that doubles exist as well. A Boolean is a variable type and is the most simple one. It can only be true or false. In this case, we initialize the Boolean car, BOL, to the value of true. Booleans can only be true and false and are usually used in if statements and flow control. Booleans are actually numbers, and in C, 0 is considered true and everything else is considered false. As you can see in the example, bool apple equals true and int apple equal 1 actually does the same thing. And bool apple equals false and int apple equals 0 also does the same thing. So you might be thinking, why can't I just declare an integer and swap it between 1 and 0 for true and false? You can. But Booleans are a lot more intuitive. It makes your code easier to read for others as well and yourself. And it makes keeping track of the code easier as well. I highly recommend you use them. Strings are a very complicated variable type, and all of its intricacies won't be covered in this video, but feel free to search up more about it. For example, you'll notice that you don't initialize it similarly to others, which is because in reality it's an array, which you may not know yet. For the purposes of robotics, you'll likely only use the variable type to display things on a robot or controller. However, you initialize them with car, the name, brackets denoting the amount of characters, equals to, quotation, and then whatever you want to write. Strings are actually arrays of characters, but you don't know what arrays or characters are yet, so we'll only need to cover what you need to know for robotics. Strings are very different from other variables. In the next video, you'll learn that we can compare most variables like booleans or doubles or integers with the equals equals operator, but the equals equals operator won't work on strings. In addition, operators inside strings won't work either. The string 5 plus 12 will be 5 plus 12, not 17. Most of the time for robotics, you only want to be displaying messages like hi or press X to start, instead of actually using them for string manipulation. Sometimes you want to change an integer to a double or vice versa. This is where casting comes in. In the first example, since apple is an integer, dividing it by 2 will return 2. At the end, the double banana would hold a value of 2. However, in the second example, you can see that we cast the integer apple into a double. Now the variable apple holds the double 5, not the integer 5. 5 divided by 2 will now return 2.5, since it is able to be a decimal. Now at the end, the variable banana holds the value of 2.5. You can cast a double to an integer, integer to a double, integer to a boolean, so on and so forth. That's all for part 1 of video 2, and in part 2, we'll cover operators and important things about them. A lot of you guys may be confused since there's a lot of content in this short video, but don't feel pressured. Programming can be hard to pick up, but if you keep at it, it can be just as rewarding. Thank you.